What's news, Artifam? This is Rtfktnews coming to you with episode number 19, Artifact Vision. It's been a huge 3 weeks since the last episode, right? I mean, Apple Vision Pro. Oh, geez. Every YouTuber on planet Earth right now has an Apple Vision Pro show. And, you know, honestly, in here, we are going to talk about it. But as we usually do, we're just going to straight up relate that to Artifact. So how is the Apple Vision Pro going to affect the Artifact ecosystem and you as a Clone X holder? So we're going to talk about that first. And then next, we're going to get into Electronic Arts partnering with Swoosh. Nike, right? So Electronic Arts, one of the biggest video game publishers of all time, one of the OGs that's been here forever, is partnering with Swoosh and Nike. And what is that going to mean for Artifact? I mean, there's a lot of ins and outs to all of that, so that's going to be a pretty fun segment. So we'll dive into that. And then last but not least, for sure, is the Creative Artists Agency partnering with Artifact. I didn't know a whole lot about the CAA. I did a bunch of research for this video, and just let me tell you, I had no idea the kind of talent that they represent. It's outlandish. I mean, just about everybody that you can think, they're representing them. And they're also they're all over it. I mean, when it comes to bringing talent to people who need talent, or basically talent maximization, they're the best in the business. And with the people, wait till you see the talent, you're going to probably think the same thing I do, which is they must be amazing at maximizing the potential for talent. Because with their lineup, there's nothing but serious artists and serious athletes and everything. They must be completely amazing at it. And they're going to be out there looking for opportunities for Artifact now. So that's completely amazing, if you ask me. So definitely a huge 3 weeks here. And I titled the video Artifact Vision because we're going to just take a look at all of that from the perspective of a Clone X holder or Artifact fan, right? I mean, that's why you kind of come to this channel is I'm here to curate and just pick out any information that I see within the ecosystem or try to tie some things together that maybe are even outside of our ecosystem to see what it might mean for us as Clone X holders and where this is all going to go, right? Because I'm not a financial advisor by any means or any stretch of any imagination. I'm here, you know, as a fan, really, of this entire ecosystem. I want to see where it's going. You know, I'm a huge gamer. I'm into digital collectibles. I like the whole idea of tokenization and, you know, being able to freely trade these collectibles in a digital way. Like, I'm here for all of it, right? I love all of the sneakers and all of the drip aspects and the gamification of everything and just the tokenization and these economics and everything. And just technological progression, just to watch things progress. Like, that's why I'm here. That's what I curate. And that's what I'm trying to bring to you to try to help you get into the right position, whatever you might be. Like, you might be a creator too, and you might want to know, you know, how is the Apple Vision Pro going to affect you as a creator? What kind of opportunities might you have that you didn't have 2 weeks ago? I mean, now we have new technology on the horizon. It's almost time to start getting in position if you're a creator, and we have a ton of amazing creators in the Clone X ecosystem. So yeah, it's time to start thinking about how you're going to fit in with that. So there's a lot of highly exciting things going on. And also, we're in the middle of the bear market, which is slowly turning into the cocaine bear market. Because now we got Gary Gensler out here, who is basically trying to ban the entire industry. Saying things like, why do we need any other kind of digital currency out here? We already have digital currency. We got the United States dollar, the yen, and the euro. We don't need any other currencies. So they are basically going after a lot of the main projects out there and trying to shut them down. And they're trying to Operation Choke Point to basically shut down a lot of the on and off ramps. It appears. But now there's governors throughout Washington that are calling for Gary Gensler's job at this point. And, I'm not into really villainizing people or anything. I think systems can just get out of control, and corruption and just mismanagement can just sneak up on people and happen. So I don't know. I mean, I'm all for be your own bank, right? I'm all for currency competition and for freedom. And, anytime somebody says that they're protecting you, but they don't give you any choice whether they're protecting you, and they restrict your freedom, that sounds an awful lot like a hostage situation to me. It doesn't really sound like how it's being portrayed out there. Am I right? Okay. Well, considering all of that too, with Gary Gensler, and then we're talking about them coming after a lot of platforms that are offering staking, like Cardano and Coinbase, and I mean, most of the projects I believe have some aspect of staking to them. And, maybe that is why Artifact kind of shelved the incubation and the hibernation at one point. Because you can bet everybody who owns a space pod and a loot pod is wondering what is going on with incubation and hibernation. Because there was a point where Benoit seemed really excited about what Moonbirds was offering in terms of staking and the mechanisms that were involved. And that kind of led, I think, a lot of us, and granted we're speculating here, but it led to a lot of us to think, oh, maybe the incubation and the hibernation is going to lead to some type of staking or some type of something anyway. I don't want to say, passive value or passive income or anything like that, because it's not about income. These are digital collectibles. Maybe just something cool that would have some kind of gamification aspect or something like that, I mean, as a gamer, I play a lot of video games. I'm not playing them to earn income or anything. I'm playing them because I'm looking for new features or new information or new ways to play or something like that, So I think right around the same time that the incubation and the hibernation came out, that was pretty much when the SEC started getting really loud about not being okay with people staking currencies. And it seemed like right around then, it was kind of Artifact saying, okay, let's just relax here a little bit until we get some more regulatory clarity. And I can definitely understand that. And, the one thing I think would be really cool, and I don't know if this is something that's even possible, but for Artifact to get a regulatory approved token, the drip token, be the first one in the space to set the precedent, provide the leadership, to be the first ones to have a token that has been through regulatory scrutiny. That would be amazing. And I know they're probably not even thinking about that. It seems like the drip token is a very polarizing topic. Anytime I bring it up, within 1 second, I'll have 5 people that are like, no, we don't even want to talk about that. Let's not talk about the drip token at all. And I kind of get that, because we don't want to induce FOMO and have people freaking out because there's going to be a token. Because everybody knows, I believe, that a token definitely has an impact on the ecosystem's health. So when you start talking about it, it kind of triggers people because they don't want to get into the whole FOMO situation. I understand that. But here's the thing. Understand me clearly. I am not saying that Artifact needs to just release a token out of nowhere. My suggestion, or what I would like to see, is them pursue a regulatory approved token, to be proactive and work with the Nike lawyers that already know how to manage a security, because they understand how to do that, right? They have the Nike stock, which is a security and is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So Nike has some of probably the best lawyers in the business that have a ton of experience in managing a security. Not only just getting a security approved, but in managing a security as well. So, on our side of things, there's no telling if they've pursued that or not, if Artifact has pursued that. I have no idea. I mean, so for me, it would be nice to either know that or to know if they have pursued it and there was a dead end, or if they plan on pursuing it at some point, or if they're just going to wait and see, let everything shake out in the end, which seems like that's what's more likely. But how stellar would it be if they were the first project to have a regulated token and be able to distribute it that way? I mean, to be honest, a lot of the security stuff, it's hard to get good information on. And that's what Brian Armstrong of Coinbase and then the Kraken CEO, that was all of their big problem too, is, hey, how do we get these things approved? And Gary's over here like, oh, it's super easy, just fill out the paperwork. And like Brian Armstrong and those guys are like, what do you think? We didn't fill out the paperwork? We filled it out. What do we do now? How do we get these things approved? And there's just no regulatory clarity. So I don't know. I mean, how can Coinbase get the IPO for Coinbase stock, which is a security, and then somehow not be able to get the other paperwork filled for the security? Maybe it's really tricky, or maybe they just don't want anybody to have any other currencies, so they're trying to limit people from having regulated securities that look like tokens. Because stocks are a little bit different, right? Who knows? A lot of ins and outs. That's just my 2 cents on what I would like to see from the drip token side of things. And, it kind of ties into people's view on hype. And, ever since the monolith, there has been less information flowing through our ecosystem in CloneX. And a lot of people are very sensitive to hype because, FOMO, no one wants anybody to FOMO. A lot of the token prices just throughout the entire NFT ecosystem have dropped. So if you FOMO'd early, then you could have got burned. And so nobody wants to talk about FOMO or anything that's hypey at this point. But I will say, hype's a double-edged sword. Just as just about everything in existence is, right? Like, too much hype is bad. In equal measure, not enough hype is also bad. It's just the balance of how all that works. So too much hype is basically over-promising and under-delivering. And then too little hype is under-promising and over-delivering. And I guess if you had to choose one of those, you would say under-promising and over-delivering is the optimal version. And I would agree with that. But that's if you had to choose between the two. I mean, ideally what you want is to be right in the middle, right in the Goldilocks zone, and you want to hit it on the head. You want to have just enough marketing, just enough hype to provide information to keep people interested and to keep people in position where they need to be in position if they're fans. So they don't miss out on, I mean, I guess you could say opportunities in general, but like, you just don't want people wildly out of position. You don't want them out of position in the FOMO direction, and you don't want them out of position in the other direction either. Because then you're not maximizing everyone's involvement, including, which ultimately hurts the brand at the end of the day. Because if you have something that's really sick, you probably should give some indications that, hey, you really are going to want to be here for when we roll this out. And here are some reasons why. So, like, that's kind of what Apple has done too, right? I mean, granted, they're bringing it out 8 months early because they're trying to get people excited about development. They want developers to come in and start creating the use cases, right? So that's the large part of the reason why they brought that out early. But it is also, don't get it twisted, it's also to generate hype. Because they know they have something sick. And they also know that if you don't have it by now, you're not going to be able to beat them to that market. Like if you already don't have a headset that's as sick as Apple's, even if they give you an 8-month head start, they know that you can't do what they've done in 8 months because they've probably taken the last 7 years to do that. So they're comfortable knowing that they can give you that information because you're not going to beat them to the market anyway. But it's also letting their customers get in position, because if it's a $3,500 headset, which you got to imagine some of the Clone X's are that, if not more, giving people time to get into position for new rollouts is a good thing. You don't want your fans out of position. So, yeah, I mean, it would be good to get some more information out here. We have not had a ton of information. For instance, Animus. It was awesome at the Gaysai event where we got to see all of the new 3D models, and they look just fantastic, right? Like super hype, over the moon, ready for Animus. No idea when it's coming out. It seemed in that event that Ben was kind of signaling for us to be very patient here, which I talked about in the last video, which led a lot of people to thinking, oh, it's probably not till Christmas, maybe even after Christmas. But so we don't really know when Animus is coming out. We don't really know exactly what it's going to be. I've heard, Zap has referred to them as pets sometimes. Is it a whole new vibe where it's going to be its own type of thing? How much is it going to play into Clone X? Are they just the Clone X pets and it's going to be like a Pokemon situation where you can have your Animus fight on behalf of your Clone X? Or how are Clone X and Animus going to be tied in? When's Animus coming out? What other kinds of things can we expect from that? Also, we got the space pods, loot pods, exopods, lux pods hanging out just in transit right now. Where are they going? And when? What about the incubation and the hibernation? How is that going to play into things? What about those wolves, man? Right? The wolves hanging out on some type of a planet somewhere. Are they going to play into this? And how and when? And then I think that's about all, right? I mean, space pods, incubation, hibernation, Animus, when, how are they going to tie in with Clone X? What's going on with Move to Earn? We were talking about Move to Earn at one point. Everybody wants to know what's up with inventory. That's going to be a really hype time when they roll that out. But like, what is inventory going to be rolled out into? Is it going to be rolled out into something with OnCyber? Is it going to be rolled out possibly into something with EA? Or where is inventory going? A lot of questions, right? I'm sure you guys all want to know too. I would think those are probably the questions you want to know as well. But let's not forget, okay? With all of that said, Artifact has been killing it. Totally have been killing it. They are building a championship team during the bear market. So it's the right team at the right time, putting the pieces in place to be in a great position for the next bull run and just in the future in general. I mean, if you take a look, right, you got Nike, one of the biggest manufacturers with the most hardcore supply chain in the entire world for manufacturing clothing, at a high level with great marketing that's really connected with their audience. And Nike's a crusher, a juggernaut. Then you have NVIDIA. Obviously we understand some of the things that they can do with the graphical processing units, right? With the cards and the graphics for video games and things like that. But those GPUs also are for artificial intelligence. And that's why the stock price went just crazy lately, because the GPUs are required to crunch the numbers to produce the artificial intelligence. So they're leaders in artificial intelligence and GPUs and transistors and all of these like really crazy technologies. So you got Nike, you got NVIDIA. Then, we have Artifact with Ben, Zap, and Chris and everything that they know. I mean, the augmented reality, obviously, that they've come up with. their vision in general, all of their knowledge on supply chain with Sam, and like they're the best in the business. Also, I think you could safely say. I mean, you know, you have Yuga, right? You have Larva, and you have that whole thing going on, and they're killing it too. But and you know, Frank is doing great things with the gods and everything, but just with some of the things that Artifact's going out there, just from a talent and execution standpoint, they're really hard to compete with. I mean, Chris and his team of 3D assassins, some of the stuff they do is just, it's outlandish. And we're going to look at some of that too here coming up. But so Nike, NVIDIA, Artifact, then you got Rimowa, you got Byredo coming up, you have OnCyber, and now you have some new additions with the Creative Artists Agency. One of the most prolific or most important talent agencies out there in the entire world. With Takashi Murakami, one of the best contemporary artists in the world, who's worked with Billie Eilish, Kanye West, Virgil Abloh, and now Artifact, and is, you know, one of the best contemporary artists of all time. I mean, like, that is a championship team, right? And Artifact's putting that together, so you have to give them a ton of credit right there, because they're putting themselves in a position to win. And I would not want to compete with them if I were in the same industry, because I don't even know how you compete with that, to be honest. So they're killing it with that. And then also they've just been delivering, you know, like with the season 1 forgeables, they're pretty much through the delivery of the first half of the season 1 forgeables. And then in, I believe, mid-July, we're going to see the pants, the Murakami drip, and the jackets. Yes. So we'll be seeing those coming in mid-July. That's going to be super sick. Then we're also going to get the Rimowa bags. And it's still going to be kind of interesting to find out if there's something actually inside of that luggage. So they're delivering those. Then we're going to see the Crypto Cakes in real life coming up soon. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm really proud of everything that they're doing. I'm happy to be a Clone X holder. I mean, I know that the floor price isn't like indicative of like what some other projects are doing right now, taking off. It just doesn't even matter, because if you just look at that team that they're putting together and that the way that they're delivering, I mean, whatever, the future is crazy bright. And I think they're in the best position possible. And they're just getting in better and better position, it seems, every week. So, yeah. Well, let's dive in. We're going to talk about the Apple Vision Pro. Then we're going to get an EA, and we're going to, EA and .swoosh. Then we're going to talk about CAA. Then we're going to wrap it up. But thank you for joining me in episode 19, the Artifact Vision. I really appreciate you showing up. And if you can, like and subscribe, the usual thing here. But we got about 205 subscribers, and it would be great if we could get to 1,000. So let's do that, right? Share it with somebody if you can. All right, let's dig in. Let's go. All right, so here we go. The much anticipated Apple Vision Pro announcement. Let's dive into it. Okay, so I've been following this for a long time. The Apple AR glasses. And it's just been so much hype, so much speculation. There's been some letdowns here and there. And it's finally here, and it's just unbelievable that we finally have some concrete information and an actual product that's going to be released soon. And it's kind of just like mind warping, because honestly, I was really looking forward to those glasses being some like light frame glasses on the face. But if I'm really looking at it right now, this is probably just the better option in general. And yeah, I'm sure you've seen them. They're big, okay? They're definitely a lot bigger than like just some wafy glasses that everybody was kind of picturing. But to have the mixed reality, it seems like a better option in my point of view. Like if I actually had to choose right now and somebody had a finished version of just augmented reality glasses and then they had this product, I'm probably taking this product. And it has a lot to do with the Apple magic, as usual, which is their user interface and just the feel and the flow of their products. Because when they do the dial, and you can dial from augmented reality into virtual reality, that is just next level. Like, that was something really just couldn't even fathom that might be an option. Because we've seen other augmented reality products out there. We've even seen mixed reality products. There are other headsets that have pass-through capability. This is not like necessarily a brand new thing. But has anybody really thought of it in that way that Apple did, where you could dial in and out of augmented and virtual reality? And that's kind of just what Apple always brings to the table, you know, like, here we go with Tim Cook, right? And he's just here talking about, you know, one more thing. And we'll leave that playing in the background here, and I'm not going to go into every single aspect of this video, but I'm just going to have it kind of going on in the background, and we'll talk about some things as they kind of come up. But so first, let's just start, like, first and foremost, just like, how do we feel about the headset? Just a TLDR on it. I'm absolutely fired up and over the moon. Couldn't be happier with what's going on, unless it was smaller. You know, it could have been smaller, and that would have been pretty sick. But other than that, I think they went so above and beyond what everybody was expecting that, man, I will be surprised if it's easy to get these when it comes time. Early next year at $3,500. You could be lucky to get one of these, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get one, but I've never really seen Apple say that they, like, necessarily... Oh, no, they do. They've had shortages before with the iPhones, for sure. So maybe we see a little bit of a shortage here with this. Takes a few extra months to get your headset. How crazy is that, though? This is super developer friendly. You don't want to be getting this 6 months later. I mean, that's a lifetime with this kind of technology. But apparently, from what I've heard from everybody, is that this is like crystal clear pass-through. So it's basically indistinguishable from your actual vision. Which is really, gosh, I'm just so happy that they nailed that, because that's just not an easy thing to get right. And they did it. And then the hand gesture. People love the hand gesture too. Like, apparently it's super intuitive and it feels great. Now, what's that going to mean for video games? I don't know. You're probably going to still want to have a controller. And they show in here people still having a controller. But look right here. Like this aspect right here. Being able to sit on your couch and you just dial in an entirely different environment. You know, like for Artifact, you have a space pod or a loop pod or a whatever planet we're on, and being able to just dial in from augmented reality to actually like being in that planet or on that planet or in that space pod. That is going to be extremely epic. So, yeah, I think this is it's a must-buy for me. I'm not going to say it is for anybody else. But I like the idea of being on the cutting edge and understanding what the latest technology is, and then it just really helps you understand where it's going to go, because this is obviously not the final form. There are already notes, or there's already reports that they're working on a new version that's more consumer-friendly. It's probably going to be half the size and half the cost. Who knows? There's also a pretty good argument that Apple doesn't usually lower their prices once they announce something. It generally tends to go up. So where is this going to go from here? I think it's probably gonna shrink, and it's gonna become more consumer friendly. And just imagine, like, if this could get to a point where it's really thin on your face. You still have the goggles, you still have VR and AR, but it's costing $1,200, and it's going to be ubiquitous because everyone can afford it, and there's going to be all kinds of interactions between you and your environment, you know? Because one of the knocks on this was that it just really is, it's going to be so much fun to wear that somebody in your family is just going to be wearing this thing. And you're not going to really be able to watch a movie with them because they're just going to be watching the movie. They're going to be just like in their office or whatever. And yes, there's AR pass-through. But it could possibly create the situation where it's just more of a single, you know, like a single person experience where it's not really a shared experience. Even though they did talk about share play here. And like, who really knows? I mean, obviously, Apple, they're clearly smart. So they're clearly going to try to, if everyone and their brother is saying that this is creating like a single experience, then they are going to really focus on having a communal aspect with it. And granted, if you have a pretty big family, $3,500 a pop ain't going to be easy. Honestly, though, it could be worth it. And if you think about it, most computers are, if you're going to get a good computer, the graphics card's $2,000. Then if you talk about the CPU, then you talk about like the case and like anything else that you might have going on, man. Computers are really expensive. They're much more expensive than this. And this seems like a lot more fun, honestly. It's just brand new, you know, user interfaces, which is so much fun. Like that new information and being on the cutting edge of that. That's like, I love that type of vibe right there. So once again, right here, this is where they kind of show like being able to dial in the environment. So somebody's watching a movie, they sit down and they can see their environment perfectly. But if they want to pretend like they're in like a different environment, they just hit that dial and just like, check this out. I mean, crazy, right? And you can bet every developer that was watching this is thinking, oh man, so can we create environments? Can we sell environments in like an environment marketplace? There's going to be a marketplace where we can sell these rendered environments. Because then people are going to create all kinds of really amazing environments and possibly be able to sell them, you know? I mean, with AI at this point, I can't imagine people are going to be selling them for more than 99 cents, but still, you can make a lot of money if you have a sick environment and it's only, you know, you have a lot of people purchasing it. But that does make me wonder, because you can actually move that screen. And that is another thing that people said was just awesome. Like, it really feels like you're moving the screen. And that screen stays there. So, like, if you get up, you go to the fridge, you come back, like, that screen's still in exactly that same position. Okay? So why am I talking about this right now? What does this mean for decorations? Like, what does this mean for furniture? What does this mean for Artifact? Now, we know that Artifact's got the sickest 3D objects in the game. The sneakers, the clones, the clothing, you know, from the jersey, you got the eggs, you got like all of the digital clothing that we have. All of this stuff would look amazing. And what I'm thinking is, like, what if you could have a digital shoe wall and you can position these shoes on the wall, and anytime you put the Vision Pro headset on, the shoes are on the wall, just where you put them before. So then, wow, like, you could really appreciate your artifact collection on a whole new level, which would bring a whole lot more value to it. Because having to go to like OpenSea or check in your wallet in some way to see your item is one thing. But when you can see it in 3D and it's in your environment and it looks fantastic and it's sitting right there, like, that's a whole different level of appreciation. That's what collectors love. And that's where we want it to go anyway, right? Like, why collect physical items necessarily if you have to, because there's just a whole deal to that supply chain of a real physical item. And I know I'm not saying to do away with like the physicals, because it's great to have shoes on and stuff, but if we're going to have the physical market grow, or you're going to have the digital market grow, and there's no like huge difference between how they affect your environment, I think we would rather have the digital grow, because it's much less of a footprint throughout. I said this in the last video, but seriously, as a thought exercise one time, find your favorite item, let's say a shoe, and then think about all of the factories involved in producing that shoe. From the rubber manufacturers, like think about everybody that needs to be involved for that shoe to get to your doorstep. It's pretty crazy. I mean, you might find that it's a pretty impossible task. Like, you could be looking at about 30 different factories that need to be involved, with all of the energy costs and everything that's involved. And I'm not saying necessarily that is a death knell for physicals. I'm just saying with digitals, the supply chain is a electrified speed of light supply chain. So you can create things, you can iterate more quickly, and you can resize things. You can do all kinds of things you can't do with physicals. My point is, Apple Vision Pro, I got my digital my digital wall of shoes, digital shoe wall. Or I could just put them, randomly so I can appreciate them. I feel like that makes the value of those things go up. So anyway, right here, you can see, we learned this new word recently with the Rimowa luggage, but lenticular. That's what this is right here, where you can actually see the person's eyes. I think that's fantastic. And there's been people that have been pushing back and talking about, like, the word dystopian has been thrown around so crazy since this has come out. And honestly, I feel like it's just kind of clout chasing, or people just like, I don't know. I mean, people thought it was probably dystopian when they stopped riding on their horse with their hair blowing in the wind, because the evil car is now here and it's all mechanical and it's not like old Bessie. I mean, this is always the same thing. Everything's always dystopian until it's everything you've ever wanted. And whatever, this is going to develop. This is like the first iteration. I don't think it's dystopian at all. I think it's going to lead to way better connection than we can even fathom at this point. So, yeah, I'm fired up to say the least. Okay, speaking about having things in the Artifact universe around your apartment or in your environment, something like that, we have to highlight one of the creators in the Artifact community, Allie. AALASADY_. And you're gonna want to follow them, because honestly, just watch this video here. This was shortly after the drop of the Apple Vision Pro. But yeah, let's check it out. I have the music turned down, unfortunately, so definitely go follow Ellie and watch the full video with the music, because I don't know if there's any copyright restrictions, but here we go. How sick is that, right? That really brought to life. Let's watch it one more time. That really just brings to life this whole idea that we've been talking about, which is having Artifact in your house with you, like having the Animus and having a digital shoe wall. Having an animus egg, have the animus creatures, having your Clone X friends, like with their digital personas and stuff. It's all seeming way more possible now than it ever has. And let's check it out again. I mean, such a great job on the production here. Look at this with the hair blown on the wind too. And this apartment looks fantastic. I mean, what level of work was put into this? And the directing's great. Yeah, the directing is just really, really fantastic. Look at that. Like the way it pops out, even the camera angle. Just really crushed it. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted Allie's work there because it was so timely and it does such a great job of exemplifying exactly what we've been talking about through the rest of this presentation. So yeah, let's get back to it. But this lenticular action right here, what that means is those eyes, if you look at them from a certain direction, it will focus on that person with the correct perspective based on your eyes, because it's tracking your eyes and then it's giving that information to the display, and it can also see the other person, so it's making sure that your eyes look from the correct perspective to the other person using this lenticular display, which is insanely innovative. So very cool. I think it's a great feature. Eyesight, I'm really glad they included it. I think they're going to improve it too. And at some point, it's going to look perfect. And I'm glad they started on it with this. Really, really glad that they did that. Definitely going to increase the amount of connection. And how cool is it when somebody comes into your perspective that it just kind of opens up and you can see that person. I mean, the level of technology that Apple put into this, it's on an alien level. Look at that. Like, she comes into the scene and it just opens up, and then her eyesight, the person wearing the goggles, the eyes connect with that person. Like, dude, did anybody see that coming? Like, that is so futuristic. And it's just Apple, once again, being completely thoughtful and connected. Like, if you want to know why Apple always kills it and why they're like one of the top businesses in the world and why they have more cash flow than most countries, they understand their customer and they connect and they exceed expectations. So everybody who keeps talking about how hype is a horrible thing, it's not. You just have to have Apple's mentality where you understand that there's hype, you connect with your customer, you understand what they want, and then you just exceed it. So hype's not a bad thing. Not if you know how to strategize around it. But there was some specific things I wanted to get to talk about here that actually have to deal with Artifact. In my mind, anyway. I mean, I'm just speculating here. Okay, so in this, we're going to talk about persona. Okay, so here you can see this person is having their entire face scanned, and the whole idea here is that it's going to make a digital representation of that person. And this is called a persona. So how does this have anything to do with Artifact? Now, I wish I could say I think Apple's going to do this, but it's probably going to be like a third party. But imagine being able to have your clone as your persona. So instead of that digital representation of you, it's actually just your clone in 3D, right? Because it's just 3D data anyway. So if the Vision can just use that data but apply it to your 3D model for your clone, like how sick would that be if you could have an entire party of clones around you? I mean, it would be like living in a cartoon in some type of way, but you have all of your friends from the Clone X community. They all have all of their clones, and it's moving perfectly with their eyes and perfectly with their mouth and everything. And that is your persona in that way. I think that would be pretty epic, and I could see something like that happening with Clone X. But there is no telling, right? Maybe it's going to have to be a third party. But another thing I wanted to talk about, yeah, right, Disney. This is such a sick little segment here. I'm sure if you're a techie, you probably watch this 20 times like I have. But this is Disney. And we'll just kind of watch this together here. We'll watch this whole little segment. I can't turn it up, unfortunately, because I don't know if there's any kind of rights restrictions. But look at this. Selecting Tatooine. Okay, going to Tatooine. We're on Tatooine, and we're going to watch The Mandalorian, but on Tatooine. I mean, did anybody see that coming? And here's sports. How sick is this to have this entire UI all over the place, giving you all kinds of cool new information and just new effects and stuff? But look, I wanted to talk about this right here too, because we'll get into it more in the next segment. But imagine if there ever is Artifact AI athletes, you know? And what if you got to watch them on something like this? Like just right in your living room. You can resize it if you want or whatever, but you can just watch them battling each other on some kind of court or something. So I think that would be super sick. But also here you're seeing the, like marker technology where you can look at a poster and then it can have augmented reality effects to it. Which we saw with the Artifact posters at the Gaysai event. And here, I mean, look at this kind of interaction. Dude, that's just mind-blowing. I totally love it. And I think Disney is really on to a ton of stuff, but then you got to hit them with the what if right here. Right? This is Marvel Studios. And yeah, this is really great here. One thing I'm wondering is, so you have the goggles on, you stick your arm out. Can you get like that's a different version of your arm. Is that your real arm, or maybe it is? Yeah. But I wonder if you could put your arm out and you can have a fake arm there, or like an arm that has armor on it. You know what I'm saying? Like something like a representation of your arm that has some kind of digital overlay on your arm, because it can read your arm. So, but either way, you can see how that might play into Artifact also, with having some type of game or interaction within inside your environment, and you being your Clone X. Gosh, it's just really exciting, the Disney stuff. And one thing I did want to talk about also is so this one, I'm not this isn't a complaint or anything like that, but I was really wondering if Artifact was going to make the cut here for the augmented reality. Because this person here is about to talk about showing some use cases in the industry, like industry use cases. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you some of these first. We'll look at some of the use cases that they came up with as examples, and they're cool, definitely. But I just can't help but wonder how it would have been if Artifact was part of this use case showcase. Here's the heartbeat. And I want you to remember all these, especially if you're not a Clone X fan and you're not really familiar with their Instagram. Just try to remember like the level of detail with these things right here and stuff. I mean, this one, obviously, that's a killer one. That F1, that's hard to beat. And then you have, obviously showing a manufacturing line and a company's ability to create a fake manufacturing line to understand how to best implement it. And then here's a DJ. And then here's somebody sleeping, looking at a constellation. That's great. And I definitely appreciate that. But let's just like take a look at what I thought would be a really good example. And yeah, here it is right here. So now imagine like that level of quality that we saw on those demos right there. And people are going to get fired up about that. And they wanted to show business use cases. I get that. But look at this. Why would you not want to show this for augmented reality? I mean, that is like, if people were to see something like that, they would freak out. I mean, they would, that like, it makes me freak out. Even I've seen this like 100 times. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh man, that's so next level right there. So I would have thought that this would have been a great opportunity for Artifact and Apple to work together to show everybody in the world what it's really all about. Because this is beyond what I believe Apple showed in that presentation. This is an Artifact collab with League of Legends. But then, you know, also just here's another one that we didn't show last week, but, you know, that's augmented reality right there. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think is going to move units and get the young people really excited about this augmented reality stuff. Like if you're showing them industrial manufacturing lines and you're showing them Formula One cars and stuff like that, they should have had something in there like this. That's like, hey, if you're like really into progressive tech and you're like into fashion and stuff like that, like check this stuff out. You can do this kind of stuff with the headset. You know, and they've already, you know, this is Apple's or I mean, Chris Lee has already stated that they want to be bigger than Marvel. And then here's like a little Marvel shot out with some Thanos situation and stuff. But the kind of AR that Artifact is capable of, it does make me wish that they were part of that presentation. And I don't know how they weren't. Like, I don't know if there just wasn't a meeting set up or if they did try to get part of that. And I can't imagine. The reason why I think maybe there just wasn't a meeting set up or no one pursued it or whatever is because Artifact stuff is so good. I can't imagine Apple saying, no, we're not going to put that in there. I can't imagine it, but maybe that's what happened. They're all professionals, so I'm sure they probably pursued that angle. But it seems like Apple would have benefited from that, and so would Artifact. So yeah, Apple Vision Pro. There's not much more to say about it. I think it's the most groundbreaking thing that's come out since the iPhone. And people are talking about dystopian this and dystopian that and all of that. I mean, there's all different variations of humans out here. You know, some of us still want to ride the horses, and some of us want flying cars. And for the people in the flying cars, it's dystopian to be riding an animal around that doesn't want you to ride it around and not being able to get to a place within a reasonable amount of time, and the horse might die, you might die. That's dystopian. Okay? It's a variation. We're all like different levels and stuff. And I don't think we should really judge each other or like try to like generate narratives, I guess. I think it's super sick, and I'm definitely going to try to get one. And if I had to guess, I think it's going to be hard to get them. And if you're a developer, and if you're in the Artifact community and you're a creator, you're going to have to be all over it, I think. Because you don't want to be 6 months behind. If you have a really good idea, you think your idea has a market, you're going to want to be there first day so that you can capitalize and start developing at the same time, right? You don't want to give anybody a 6 month head start, is what I'm saying. So get out there and get something, right? Well, that's it. And now we're going to move on to our next segment where we talk about electronic arts and .swoosh and what that could mean for Artifact. All right, let's go. Now that we've covered the Apple Vision Pro let's dive into the electronic arts and .swoosh segment. Okay, so, we've really never talked about .swoosh in here. And I thought it would be a good idea if we just at least cover a little bit here. And first, I wanted to go to Twitter so we could let everybody know what the handle is. It's at DOTSWOOSH.swoosh. And let's take a look here at some of these boxes, right? 2 boxes, 1 journey. You got the classic remix box, and then you have the new wave box. So as you might guess, that's what type of sneaker you're probably going to get. Is if you pick up a classic remix, you're going to get something that we've seen before, but just a slight tweak to the design. And then in the new wave, it's going to be something that you've never seen before, right? So just more clearly, the classic remix box is a portal to the Nike nostalgia, celebrating heritage details while pointing them toward the future. The new wave box is something, new, a gateway to a brand new universe of Air Force Ones. So there was, I believe, it doesn't really say here, I'm thinking, but I think there was about 106,000 of these around there available. And I think I was seeing 83,870 units here. But I think there was about 96,000 that minted. And there was only they're only $19.82. So yeah, I mean, I think the team did a really great job, because you got to imagine Nike is so popular and you have so many people trying to get in there. And, with the bots and everything else that could be going on, especially with these things only being $19, I think they handle it really well. And I like the communication and everything. None of this is easy, and I think they did a great job, to be honest. And all of the marketing and everything that they did was really cool. Like, if you minted this, you got a card. And even the card itself was like interactable. Like, you could click on it and it would like make the shoes move and stuff. Really cool. Just small little touches everywhere. Really good communication. It seems like it's being managed well. So that's the website. Let's take a look at a couple of them real quick while we're here. This is the Jewel. There's only 6 of these. Can you believe that there's only going to be 6 of these? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of value those go for. But apparently there is going to be a Nike marketplace, and they've definitely mentioned it. We don't know when it's going to be here, but like, you may be able to even sell these things on the marketplace, which is really cool. But we'll see, because there's been some the crackdown lately in crypto, so we'll see. But you got 1,007 Easter eggs, basically, which is really sweet. They look great. This is one of my favorites right here, the digital camo, because I've seen all kinds of digital camo, but this is really cool. I really like the style of it. Man, I would really love to wear those in real life, I'll tell you that. Those look sick. And then you have the OJs. Looking real cool too. So yeah, they've done a good job. It's all been really tasteful. The communication's been good. The execution, I believe, has been good, given what they probably had to go through to get it done. And here you can see too is their announcement. What's in the game? Only time will tell. EA Sports and .swoosh. Wow. That was a big announcement right there. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I mean, here's some copy right here from the EA site. But yeah, Nike's new partnership with EA Sports will look to build new immersive experiences and unlock brand new levels of customization within the EA Sports ecosystem. In future EA Sports titles, EA Sports and Nike plan to make select .swoosh virtual creations available, allowing members and players unique opportunities for self-expression and creativity through sport and style. So that's interesting. They're going to make select .swoosh virtual creations available. How's that going to work out? And man, what does that mean really, right? we all know what EA is most famous for, their sports franchises. EA, Madden, FIFA, and now they have a new golf game out as well. But man, what does that mean? Certain select ones, and how are they going to decide that? Is it going to be some of the rare ones like the Jewel we saw? There was only 6. How are they going to make that available? And is it going to be an NFT fashion where somebody who owns it is going to be able to sell it? Is there going to be any kind of like passive value coming to people who own that sneaker if it's used in a game or something like that? Yeah, I wonder. That's interesting because how far or how close is EA to being able to implement NFTs into their major titles for consoles and PCs? Or maybe it could even be some new EA games that come out for mobile, I guess. But let's just read some of these quotes here, because all of us at EA Sports are focused on leading the next evolution in sports fandom, and this new collaboration with our longtime partners at Nike sits directly at the intersection of innovation, sport, and culture. Working with Swoosh will bring creativity and self-expression to the forefront for fans as they connect, compete, and share their love of sport. Okay. So, yeah, it's a big deal, right? I mean, it's not just Swoosh. This is EA Sports and Nike. And by proxy, that's Artifact as well. But they don't necessarily specifically say Artifact here. So I think it would be too much of a leap to say that for sure Artifact is going to be working with EA Sports until we know. And it's been actually publicized, because if they were, they would publicize it. They're not publicizing it, which means they must not be on some level right now, or they're finalizing details or something. So yeah, this is just more Swoosh details here. This is their this is the sellout, or this is when they sold when the sale was over. This is the tweet that came out, and they sold 97,000 of them. So yeah, I think that was a really big accomplishment, honestly. And I mean, this is an old tweet here, and we're talking about like how is this all going to roll out? And EA Sports, if you know this well, that they're known for FIFA too, on top of Madden, any golf games. They've tried NBA Live here and there too, but FIFA was the bread and butter, right, for EA. And this is a tweet that I put out like November 11th in 2022. And this was when the Footballverse video dropped. Okay. So let's take a look real quick at the Footballverse video again, because it's been a little bit since we've last seen that. So I'm just going to talk over it because you've probably seen this by now too. We don't really have to like get into too much detail here and watch the whole thing. But this is Nike Footballverse FC. So, and you can see the Clone X up on the wall there, the blue-haired girl. That's hilarious. I still love that. But this is Nike FC. Now, when you couple that with EAFC, this is the new brand that's coming out. And why is it coming out? Why is EAFC coming out? That's because, we're going to reference that tweet again. When the recent Nike FC Footballverse trailer dropped, I was wondering if this were to be a game, if EA still had exclusive rights to the FIFA licensing. But it turns out that EA is losing their rights to FIFA and intends to work with a wide range of partners. So, yeah, I looked into this here, and from what I could gather, they've been working together for over 20 years. So EA and FIFA have been working together forever. It's kind of an institution in the video game market. But they were breaking up over some, it's hard to know exactly, but from what was reported is, I think FIFA wanted $1 billion every 4 years to renew the license. But then even more than that, I believe it had something to do with NFTs, because these guys are brilliant, right? They're coming to the table and they have CEOs that understand every aspect of this strategy. And they know where the value is. They know how to hunt down profit margin and stuff like that. That's their goal. That's their gig, is to provide value to shareholders. So when you get like these high-level CEOs involved and stuff, like they know exactly what the strategy is. A lot of them, understand NFTs. Like they really do understand the value proposition and where it could lead and why it's such a big deal right now. And so there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't all know, but part of the reason for the breakup was the NFTs. Who is going to have control over the NFTs? So then they end up breaking up. And so now EA is no longer going to have the rights to FIFA. Now that doesn't mean that they're not going to have any of the players or stadiums or things like that. They are going to. I believe they got licensing for about 19,000 of the players, and they also have licensing for some of the clubs and some of the stadiums and stuff like that. So they may not have licensing now for World Cup, because I believe that's affiliated with FIFA, but they are definitely pursuing the soccer angle still with EAFC, as we've seen. So now, one thing that happened way back in the day, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but EA Sports had Madden, and Madden was competing with Take-Two Interactive's NFL 2K. And if you were a football fan back in the day and you were playing either of those, NFL 2K was really good. Okay, let's just say that. Really, really good. And it was a bit of a heartbreaker when EA Sports got the licensing to the NFL. I think it was a $300 million deal. So they paid $300 million to have exclusive rights to the naming and to the whole league, basically, which almost overnight destroyed one of the best football games that's ever existed, NFL 2K. Now, if you know Take-Two Interactive, you know that they're an absolute juggernaut. They have Grand Theft Auto, right? The whole Grand Theft Auto series. They've got Red Dead Redemption. They've got NBA 2K, PGA 2K. And probably a ton more that I'm just not remembering right now. But Take-Two Interactive is a serious franchise that probably wasn't too happy losing NFL 2K, right? So now EA and EA and FIFA break up, and 2K, of course, is probably licking their lips for a chance at the revenge factor of getting exclusive rights to FIFA and locking EA out of the FIFA situation. So they're talking about it. I mean, it's just rumored. I don't know that it's been finalized or anything like that. It may never be finalized, right? But either way, everyone is now out there and they're thinking about the business in a whole different way. And it's really because of digital collectibles at this point. Because if you've ever played Madden and you know about Madden cards, and the same thing with FIFA, there's just so much to the digital collectible aspect and the DLC and how much potential there is from a revenue perspective for these franchises and these developers. So it's a huge deal. But yeah, so, we could see 2K merging with FIFA. And then you got Messi with Adidas. Maybe they all try to put something together or something like that. And then you have EA FC. And then you have Nike and Ronaldo. And you have all of that going on. It's like these two Goliaths that could end up battling each other on the pitch, right? So, yeah. I mean, let's take a look at a little bit more. But see, you know what is also weird is like FIFA, they got into something else with altered state machines. And, I've always talked about altered state machines because I think they're doing something. They've always been ahead of the game with the AI stuff. So FIFA, after they broke up with EA, they got into this AI league. This is FIFA World Cup AI League. And we know that Altered State Machines has AFA, the Artificial Intelligence Football Association. Well, it turns out slightly after the breakup with EA, EA and FIFA goes straight to Altered State Machines and creates their own Artificial Intelligence Football League, which is something I've always talked about since an hour after the first monolith was introduced. I was like, oh my God, maybe this is going to be an artificial intelligence football character, right? Which sounded insane, but like here it is in action. FIFA already has one. They have a league. So this was for the World Cup Qatar 2022, but I think it's an iPhone app or something at this point. But you can see that it's a league. They have stadiums. You can earn stadiums, and you can just watch and train your AI to compete. And then based on how your AI does, you get things. And you can apply different aspects to them. You can get different. There's even a little offshoot of like the inventory app. Definitely not as rigorous, but. So, yeah, I mean, this doesn't look like it has anything to do with NFTs, which, if you ask me, is a little bit of a miss on that. Because it's great from artificial intelligence perspective, and that's a really cool thing, and it's fun, and this is all pretty polished and stuff, but, the future for video gaming, especially sports and stuff, is definitely, in my opinion, going to be digital collectibles. Being able to collect things like what EA and Nike are doing, where the Swoosh shoes, you're going to be able to equip those on possibly many different franchises within the EA kingdom, right? So whether it's PGA and you're going to put these shoes on your golfer, or you're going to put them on a football player, or whatever, like these shoes can maybe move from franchise to franchise, which is going to be pretty epic. So, yeah, this was just the altered state stuff here. But, also another part to all of this, the altered state stuff, is Artifact. Ben said at one point that when we were talking about burning space pods, he was saying that basically that it was just the starting of it, right? Like, this is the beginning of space pod merging. He didn't say it exactly like that, but that was the gist, where it's like, this is like what you can do now, and who knows, maybe there could be something later too that you can do. What if they do end up getting into like an artificial intelligence football league situation here? What if we could have stadiums? What if you have an artificial intelligence team and you have space pods and loot pods, And if you want to make a stadium that you can host a team in, that maybe it takes, like 50 space pods or 100 space pods and 100 loot pods or something insane. And then if you have that, then you can burn them to get a stadium. And that might sound crazy, but that's already been done. And Altered States did it, right? Like, they have different stadiums that you can... I mean, they were even mentioning that these could be revenue producers. So if you own a stadium, that it could be in some way down the line when all the regulatory clarity gets ironed out, that it could be some kind of an income producer for you in the same way maybe a stadium is in real life. But it's pretty cool. Their stadiums are based on their boss characters. So if you own a boss character, you get a stadium, and the stadium is fashioned after the boss character. Now, with Artifact, I don't know how that would work. Maybe there could be like a reptile stadium or a Murakami stadium or whatever, different DNA type stadiums based on whatever DNA you have, or maybe if you have a mint vial or a skin vial or something like that, you can change the look of the stadium. But that would be really cool. So I'm hoping, it's all speculation. No one knows. I would say probably not going to happen. I would love to see it happen. But if we have artificial intelligence characters, I hope that the space pods at some point can be burned for a stadium. So that's where I'm going with that. Now, I wanted to give some credit here to Luke. Because Luke23.swoosh, way back in the day, when all of this stuff with the football verse was super, everybody was super fired up. Luke found this little nugget here on Artifact Instagram. Okay, and this is about there's an artifact trophy in one of the videos. I got a little bit bigger of a picture of it, so you can kind of see a little bit. Okay, so what does that make me think there? That's making me think that clearly they already have a trophy. And which means for what? Must be for a league. Okay. What kind of league? Is it one that we're going to control? Is it artificial intelligence? Well, I don't know. They're working with NVIDIA. They're the leaders in artificial intelligence. EA Sports, or just EA in general. I mean, they've been working with video games forever. And if you think about it, enemies in video games, they're just artificial intelligence. So any video game producer, they've been dealing with artificial intelligence forever. So Electronic Arts has a huge leap on artificial intelligence. So does NVIDIA. Then you have Artifact that has these characters. And now you see a trophy here that looks like it could be involved in some kind of league. And then we look across the NFT verse and we see that there already is like FIFA and Altered State Machines creating a league together of artificial intelligence characters that can be modified, trained, and dressed. So now EA, right, and FIFA. You would think they're probably at odds. That probably wasn't a great conversation. Or I wouldn't think it was, because you got two companies that have a priceless product. I mean, FIFA, that game, that was like one of the best-selling games every single year. And more people played that than played just about any other game in the world. So these two companies, they have what is basically a priceless product that could just keep going forever. And they're sitting at the table and they can't agree. And it seems to be over NFTs. The future of digital collectibles. Because they both know how big of a market that is. And neither of them wanted to let it go. And it looked like FIFA was like, hey, and we want $1 billion every 4 years. So those two, I would think, probably not super happy, or at least maybe competitive with each other, something like that. But on one side, you have EA and Nike. and NVIDIA, all capable of creating an artificial intelligence football league. And then on the other side, you have Altered State Machines and you have FIFA, and they're created an artificial intelligence football league. Is that what's about to happen here? I don't know. I hope so. And if so, I hope that leads to the space pods being able to be burned for stadiums, because I think that would be really sick too. High speculation. Very, very high on the speculation here. So that's what I got right now for Artifact and .swoosh. I mean, or Artifact and EA. We don't really know how this is all going to play out. We know that .swoosh and EA are planning to have digital collectibles on some of the characters within the games and the franchises. That seems like a pretty logical leap to having Artifact also being able to do that. Maybe .swoosh is paving the way in that regard. And then Artifact's going to come in later for that. But then, maybe it's a way bigger deal. I mean, way back in the day, Ben said that they were already in talks with a major studio, with a gaming studio. Now, some people, were thinking, is it OnCyber? Is he referring to OnCyber, or is he referring to another studio? Maybe it was all along this whole idea that it was going to be EA. And maybe it is about an artificial intelligence football league. And maybe NVIDIA is going to help with that. I don't know. It's all pure speculation. Do not purchase anything based on any of this, because it's all fabrication. But I'm just trying to put together pieces that I feel like are semi-logical. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the description. Do you think it's, what do you think they could be working on together? How do you think EA and Artifact are going to end up working together? Are they going to work together? Maybe they just are locked out of that loop. I don't think so. I think they're going to be involved in it. And as you can see, they already have some type of a trophy involved going on here. So. And that's with Nike FC, which seems pretty in line with EA FC. And it seemed like EA wanted to have multiple football clubs and tailor their experiences to these different football clubs. It's going to be interesting. Let's just put it that way. The next 2 or 3 years are going to be very interesting. So that is my thoughts on EA and .swoosh and how it affects the Artifact ecosystem. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But until then, let's jump on over to the Creative Artists Agency and see how that partnership with Artifact's going to work. Cool. See you there. Okay, now that we've talked about the Apple Vision Pro and we talked about the deep waters of the EA and .swoosh relationship, let's take a look briefly at the CAA relationship with Artifact and the recent partnership. This is a huge deal, right? I mean, the first I heard about it was from the Hollywood Reporter, which is @THR on Twitter. It says Nike's Artifact signs with CAA. Boom, mic drop, small little sentence there, but that's a really impactful sentence if you ask me. And, right after that, I dropped a tweet, quote tweeted it, and for me, it was just another piece of the championship puzzle. And, Benoit was quoted as saying, being able to work with such a world-class team and explore new mediums for our IPs and creativity such as TV and film and define what the future of interactive storytelling is a dream come true. And there was another site that it's not very confirmed, so just take it with a grain of salt, but it's Land Index that said this move makes Artifact the first digital studio to be represented by a major talent agency. I'm not sure if that's true. I know Yuga and Larva, they do have representation from Guy Osiri, who I believe is running a place called Maverick. I'm not sure, could be wrong about that, but they definitely have representation from Guy Osiri, who represents people like Madonna and U2 and stuff. So, I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's a huge deal to have world-class representation, right? And let's just look at how world-class they are. I mean, this is their website here, and you can find it at CAA.com, which is a pretty stellar.com to have. It's already shown a certain level of competency just to get that .com. But they deliver world-class opportunities to world-class clients, right? So across film, television, music, sports, digital media, marketing, and beyond. We represent thousands of the world's leading actors, directors, writers, producers, musical artists, comedians, authors, athletes, coaches, broadcasters, teams, leagues, chefs, designers, fashion talent, consumer brand, and more. So they are just unbelievable. And you don't even have to guess if they are or not, because the people that they represent clearly show who they are. I mean, let's see here. Let's actually just take a look at some of their talent here, right? I mean, I believe they have Chris Rock. I mean, let's just look at some of the comedy talent too, because I was really blown away by the level of comedy talent they have. I mean, you're going to notice a lot of these faces here. I mean, Andrew Schultz is absolutely blowing up right now. But you probably know most of these people. And that's just the A's right there, by the way. I mean, they have... We can go through this entire list here. But it's just like about everybody. There's Bobby Lee, love Bobby Lee, and Brian Simpson's really good. And a lot of Saturday Night Live cast also. Oh, Chris Powell from the Detroiters. That's great. But Chris Rock is, you know, he's one of the best to ever do it. And Chris Tucker, Colin Jost, I mean, Craig Ferguson, like, Dave Attell, one of my favorite comedians of all time. They have him in here also. David Spade, Duncan Trussell. I mean, dude, they got everybody. And I'm not going to mention everybody's name. I love a lot of these comedians here. They got Gabriel Iglesias, man. It's a juggernaut. But anyway, you can see, okay, so this is just comedy. And you can see all the people that they have there. But let's just look at all artists. Because I think it's worth knowing just like what level this is on here. I mean, there's A$AP Rocky, right? Like, there's just a ton of people in here that are crushers. That could work with anybody in the world if they wanted to, and they're all working with CAA. And there's only one reason why they would do that, and that's because CAA knows how to connect them with the right people for the right prices and with the right deals. And give the right opportunities. Like, I'm sure CAA goes well beyond just signing a normal deal for a movie or something like that too. They're probably looking at just every way for a creative to reach their potential. And I personally love that. I think that's a beautiful industry to be in because they're just helping make dreams come true. And you can see how many people here believe in them. And these are people with exceptional levels of talent. I mean, mind-blowing. Like, Andrew Schultz, right? Like, I don't know, you may like him, you may not. I personally think he's a freaking genius, man. Like, the level of talent is out of control. Like, you try, if you aren't feeling it, you should try to do what he does. Because he's really, really good. I mean, from an execution standpoint on stand-up comedy, it's insane. But yeah, I think you really have to kind of go through this. This is just the A's. Okay, we are just in the A's. Ariana Grande, right? Like, we're just in the A's here. There's thousands of people in here. So I apologize to anybody who's not in the A's or B's, but I'm not going to be able to go through everyone here. But Barbara Streisand, she probably has been around. She knows exactly. Beck, dude. I'm just saying, they got everybody. And you don't get these kinds of talent unless you know exactly what you're doing. Precisely what you're doing, by the way. And you treat people well, and you know how to handle business in general. So, endorsements. I mean, here they're just talking about voiceovers, and they're obviously entirely strategic. But this website's really great too, and it's very deep. Because I mean, look at this is sports property sales. You better believe when I was thinking about the stadiums for Artifact that I was like, yeah, sports property sales. Let's get in there and make that happen. But check this out too. You know, like earlier we saw that trophy and it was talking about League of Legends. It's a League of Legends collab with Artifact. But here you can see with a deep understanding of each client's needs, we are able to bring the right brands and right partnerships to the table. Our clients include premium teams, leagues, and properties from flagship organizations such as Madison Square Garden and global entities like Formula One, to such fast-growing esports properties as Riot Games' League of Legends. So, yeah, they understand all kinds of facets, and like, look at these. Okay, so you go for talent. Look at how much sporting talent is in there, right? I mean, it's all a ton of sports going on in there. They're global. They have representation in China, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's not often that I would like to go through somebody's website like this, like a corporate website, but this is like fun to go through because they're killing it. They're executing on such a high level that I actually was having fun going through this because there's just a ton of potential here, and you can see them really pushing to make sure that the people they represent have the best chance possible to reach their potential. That's a huge deal for Artifact, because Artifact has so many different ways to go with all of this, and they already have so many huge pieces in place. You put that in the hands of people like this that know how to execute on this kind of level, and I don't know where it's going to go. I think it's going to go somewhere really special, to be honest. It's just going to take some great communication. It's going to take some execution, but everybody involved knows how to do that. At all, I mean, NVIDIA, Nike, Artifact, Takashi Murakami. If you've ever watched Takashi Murakami paint a painting, it's out of control. Him and his staff are like from a different planet. The execution is such a high level. So then CAA operating on such a high level, like Ramoa, I mean, EA, like all of these people are just top flight. So you put them all together in a room and you try to look for opportunities, and they're going to find gold, I think. So, yeah, but that's it. I just wanted to really get in here and talk about the CAA thing, because it's about making dreams come true. And that's what this is all about. Because looking towards the future, you kind of have to have a vision and a dream, and it takes people who know how to execute to make it come true. And CAA knows how to do it, and so does everybody else involved. So I think it's time to get pretty hyped about something like this. So, yeah, with that, I think we're pretty much done. So thank you for joining me on episode 19, The Artifact Vision. I've hoped today I've helped you understand a little bit more about where possibly this could all go, and how it's all going to work, and how all the connections and the links between all of these brands is working, and what it could mean possibly. You know, a lot of it is speculation for sure. But I'm just dealing with the information that I have out there and trying to make the most logical conclusions I can so that I can bring you value and that you might be able to position yourself better as a creator or a collector or just a fan. So I just want to say thank you again for joining me. I really appreciate it. And let's look forward to some really great things happening, right? Like we still have the Rimowa drop coming up. Is there anything in the case? Can't wait to find out. We got the Crypto Kicks in Real Life coming up. The delivery on those. Oh, that's going to be so much fun to get those. And see, hey, is there going to be a move to earn associated with those? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. You know, we got the Bitcoin halvings coming up, and we got the bull market. The bull's in the pin right now. Just it's not ready to come out yet, but at some point it's going to get real bullish around everywhere. And hopefully everybody's been working during the bear market. I know I have, and I'm pretty sure you have too if you're watching this video. So let's just keep working. Just keep grinding. It's going to get amazing, but we're going to have to work and execute to make it happen. So keep dreaming, and as always, go news yourself. Peace.